Have you ever reached out and touched a piece of metal, only to recoil slightly because it felt so much colder than the wooden surface next to it, even though you know with certainty that both are at the same temperature? That strange sensation is more than just a curiosity. It is a doorway into understanding the invisible laws that govern the world around us, and it reminds us that reality is often stranger and more fascinating than our everyday assumptions suggest. We tend to think that cold and hot are simply qualities of objects themselves, but in truth, they are about relationships between your body and the environment, between energy and matter, between curiosity and understanding. Richard Feynman, a man who delighted in peeling back the layers of the ordinary to reveal the extraordinary, would have told you that this simple act of touching metal versus wood is a tiny experiment in physics that reveals something profound about how heat flows, how energy moves, and how we perceive the world. It is in these small, intimate experiences, not in abstract equations or distant laboratories, that the beauty of science becomes most tangible. The metal feels cold because it conducts heat away from your skin much more efficiently than wood, but more than that, it teaches us that the universe operates according to principles that are elegant, consistent, and sometimes counterintuitive. When you pause to feel it, to really notice the sensation, you are participating in an age-old dialogue between human perception and natural law, a dialogue that has inspired thinkers and dreamers across centuries. And yet, the lesson goes deeper than physics. It is a lesson about awareness, about paying attention to the ordinary details of life, and realizing that even the simplest experiences are charged with meaning if we allow ourselves to see them. Metal and wood at the same temperature become a metaphor for life itself. Two seemingly similar experiences, yet their effects on us differ profoundly, not because the world has changed, but because of the pathways through which energy, intention, and attention move. As you contemplate that sensation, you might wonder why we miss these lessons so often, how so many of us glide through life without stopping to notice the small miracles embedded in the mundane. Feynman believed that curiosity was a form of reverence for reality, a way to honor the intricate, playful, and sometimes mysterious ways in which the universe operates. By feeling the cold of metal and contrasting it with the warmth, or rather the slower loss of warmth, of wood, we participate in a tiny ritual of understanding, one that connects the tactile to the intellectual, the ephemeral to the eternal. It reminds us that every sensation, every observation, and every question we allow ourselves to entertain is a step toward seeing the world not just as it appears, but as it truly is, with layers of complexity waiting patiently to be noticed, understood, and cherished. Now imagine standing in front of a simple piece of metal, and for a moment, feeling that chill seep into your fingers, but then realizing that what you are experiencing is not merely coldness. It is a story of invisible motion, a hidden drama playing out between your skin and the atoms beneath the surface. Most people glance at metal or wood and see nothing beyond their shape and color, yet in that very instant, energy is racing, colliding, and flowing in ways your senses only hint at. Heat is not something a material possesses. It is something it shares, something it exchanges, something that moves along invisible highways at rates determined by the structure of its atoms. The suspense lies in this invisible truth. The same temperature can feel radically different, and in that gap between expectation and reality, there is a lesson about attention, about the limits of intuition, and about the extraordinary subtleties of the universe. Richard Feynman delighted in moments like this, when the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when the familiar becomes a doorway to insight, and when the act of asking why opens a labyrinth of wonder. You might think that cold metal is just a nuisance, a brief shock to your fingertips, but it is a mirror reflecting a deeper principle. The universe is always in motion, always in negotiation, and always ready to challenge the assumptions we hold most dearly. And here is where suspense truly grips you. The realization that almost everything you feel, everything you assume about your environment, is mediated by processes you cannot see, touch, or hear. Your mind imagines stillness, your senses imagine stability, yet beneath your awareness, atoms vibrate, electrons transfer energy, and temperature becomes not a simple label, but a complex dialogue between observer and observed. It is as though reality itself is whispering a secret, insisting that you look closer, think harder, and marvel more. In life, as in physics, the most dramatic revelations often arrive in the smallest of moments. The shock of metal, the unexpected warmth of wood, the quiet realization that the ordinary hides extraordinary truths. There is suspense and understanding, in letting the known dissolve into a larger unknown, and in embracing the tension between certainty and curiosity. That sensation of metal against skin becomes a metaphor for perception itself. It is not what we see, it is not what we touch, but how we engage with the invisible currents of energy, time, and understanding. Every moment you pause to feel, every moment you question, every hesitation before touching metal is a step into a world that rewards patience, observation, and wonder. And just as Feynman would remind us, the joy of discovery does not require grandeur. It requires attentiveness, a willingness to notice the small discrepancies between expectation and experience, and a recognition that these discrepancies are the universe's way of inviting you to think more deeply, to see more clearly, and to live more fully. That chill you feel is more than cold. It is the pulse of reality, a reminder that beneath every surface lies a story waiting to be uncovered. And so we arrive at the final realization, that the difference between metal and wood, between cold and warmth, is not just a matter of sensation, but a reflection of how deeply connected we are to the processes of the universe, whether we notice them or not. When you touch metal, when you feel its rapid drawing of heat from your hand, you are witnessing energy in motion. And in doing so, you are participating in a story that has unfolded for billions of years, a story written in the movements of atoms and the laws of nature. There is a philosophical lesson hidden here, one that extends far beyond physics. Life itself is filled with currents we cannot see, forces that act invisibly, and patterns that only reveal themselves when we pause and engage with the world attentively. Richard Feynman often emphasized that the joy of understanding comes not from knowing all the answers, but from being willing to embrace uncertainty, to lean into the tension between what we think we know and what the universe is quietly showing us. It is in that tension that curiosity thrives, and it is curiosity that fuels learning, creativity, and personal growth. Every touch of metal, every glance at a wooden surface, every small observation becomes a microcosm of this larger truth. Reality is alive with complexity, and our ability to perceive it depends on our willingness to pay attention. Think of the way heat moves from your hand into metal, not because it wants to, not because it cares, but because that is how the universe operates. And yet, in that simple, inevitable process, there is a profound beauty, a quiet poetry, and an invitation to participate in the workings of the cosmos with awareness and reverence. This principle applies to life itself. Success, understanding, and fulfillment do not arrive instantly. They flow from patience, observation, and thoughtful engagement with the world. Just as metal draws heat, and wood does not, opportunities, knowledge, and insight flow toward those who approach the world with curiosity, openness, and attentiveness. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when we look closely enough to see the invisible motions shaping our reality. This is why paying attention to small details, how something feels, how it reacts, how it behaves, can change the way we experience life entirely. Every ordinary moment holds the potential for revelation. Every subtle sensation carries a lesson if we are willing to notice. So when you next encounter metal and feel that surprising chill, remember that it is more than a fleeting experience. It is a teacher, a reminder, and a symbol of the unseen currents that shape existence. It tells you to slow down, to observe, to question, and to delight in the universe's elegant complexity. Life rewards those who look, those who listen, and those who dare to explore the hidden layers beneath the surface. And as you step into each day, carrying with you the awareness of these small, meaningful truths, let this serve as a call to action. Embrace curiosity, pursue understanding, and engage with the world not passively, but fully, with a mind open to wonder and a heart ready to learn. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.